My name is Lucius. I was summoned to the Vatican in silence. No bells, no prayers, only silence that felt alive, pressing into my chest like it wanted me to break. The letter arrived that morning. No crest, no seal of honor, just a line written in a hand that trembled. Come to us, keeper of the light. Beneath it, an address, nothing else. I followed, though every instinct told me to burn the paper and walk away. The address led me through narrow streets to a door without a name. Inside, shadows waited. Ambrose stood among them, a tall figure in black, his face carved in hard lines. He did not greet me. His voice was iron. You will stand where others could not. You will hold where others broke. He pressed a key into my palm. The iron was colder than death. Questions rose to my lips, but his eyes crushed them before they left my mouth. He turned and led me down stone steps, spiraling into the earth. I followed. The descent was endless. Torches dripped resin. Air grew colder, sharp with damp limestone and something metallic like old blood. My breath fogged in front of me. Each step felt heavier, as if the stairs pulled me deeper than the world should allow. Finally, the stairs ended. Before us stood a vast wooden door bound in iron. A sigil had been carved deep into its surface, an angel with a raised sword pressing down on a serpent, the wings stretched across the grain. Shadows moving as if the carving breathed. Ambrose stopped short of touching the door. He looked at me once, sharp and final. This is where you begin. Remember, you do not guard stone. You do not guard relic. You guard silence. Break it, and it will break you. Then he turned and left. His footsteps faded up the stairs until only the silence remained. I was alone. The key trembled in my hand, not from my nerves. The iron itself seemed to hum, eager to be turned. My pulse hammered. Against reason, I slid it into the lock. The sound was deafening. Iron grinding iron. The door shifted with a weight far greater than wood. I pushed, and the chamber opened. It was a cathedral buried beneath the earth. Columns rose like ribs. Murals smeared the walls, angels with swords, dragons in fire, cities collapsing. Incense, long dead, still clung to the air, thick with smoke and ash. And at the center stood Michael, a statue in marble, wings spread, sword in hand, heel crushing a serpent. Every detail cut sharp, the muscles in his arms, the strain of battle, the scales of the beast beneath him. But it was not the craft that froze me. It was the eyes, hollow sockets, empty and black. Yet I felt them fix on me, cold, aware. My torch flickered, shadows shifted. For a moment, the serpent seemed to writhe beneath the angel's weight. I blinked, but the vision lingered. My stomach twisted. On the altar before the statue lay a book, leather cracked and ancient, marked with the same sigil as the door. Dust covered it, yet it was untouched by cobwebs, as if something invisible kept it clean. I reached toward it, but the air quivered with heat. My hand stopped, trembling in place. I wanted to know what it held. I feared to know what it held. The door behind me slammed shut, not by my hand, not by any hand I could see. The echo thundered through the chamber, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. My torch guttered, almost dying. In that heartbeat of near darkness, I thought I saw the statue move. The shift was small, the shoulders, the faint tilt of the head, enough to freeze my blood. I stepped back, forcing air into my lungs. The silence pressed harder. My eyes dragged back to those hollow sockets. I swear I saw them glow. A pale gold, faint but alive, fire waiting to be born. My torch flared. The glow was gone. Only stone, only shadow. I told myself it was nothing. I wanted to believe it. But in the silence, I heard it. Soft, almost too soft to notice, the sound of wings unfolding in the dark. The silence did not leave me. It clung to the stones, thick as smoke, alive as breath. My torchlight quivered across the marble wings of Michael, but the glow felt weaker, as if the flame itself feared to burn here. I forced myself forward. The air grew heavier the closer I stepped to the altar. My boots scraped against stone, each sound swallowed instantly, as if the walls devoured it. When I reached the book, my hand hovered again. Heat rose from it, though no fire burned nearby. The leather seemed to pulse, like something beneath it still lived. I pulled my hand back. My pulse thundered. I was not ready to touch it. Not yet. A soft voice broke the silence. "You should not linger, Lucius." I turned sharply. At the edge of the chamber a figure stood, Seraphina. Her veil was dark, her hands folded, but her eyes glowed faintly in the torchlight, calm but alert, like she had been waiting for me all along. "You were not told?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. My mouth was dry. "Told what?" She stepped closer, each movement graceful, almost soundless. "That this place is not watched by men alone. The silence is not empty. It listens." The words pressed into me, heavier than the air. I looked at the statue again, hollow eyes, cold stone. Yet I could not shake the sense that Seraphina was right, that the silence itself bent toward every breath I took. Before I could speak again, another voice rang out behind me, deeper, firmer. "You will learn soon enough." Dorian emerged from the shadows, his robes dusted with chalk, his fingers stained with ink. He held a small journal pressed against his chest, as though the words inside were too fragile to be seen. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with a strange light, a scholar's hunger and something darker beneath. "The book on the altar," he said, nodding toward it. "That is the Codex Custodia, the Codex of Guardians. It holds the rules, not commandments, not scripture, rules. Follow them and the silence remains still. Break them and the silence moves." I glanced at the altar. The book seemed to pulse again. My throat tightened. "Read," Dorian urged. His voice was steady, but I could see his hand tremble on the journal he held. "You must know. You must understand what binds you." My fingers reached again, slower this time. The heat burned against my skin, but I forced them down. The leather cracked as I pulled it open. The first page was bare. Only one line written in bold, jagged strokes. "Do not pray in the chamber." The letters carved into the page like scars. The ink bled, as though it had never dried. I turned the page. Another line. "Do not call the name of Michael after midnight." My breath caught. I turned again. "If you hear wings, fall to your knees." My hand shook. The torchlight dimmed. Shadows pressed closer around us. Page after page revealed more. "When the sword shines, close your eyes. Never touch the feather that falls." Each line sank into me, heavy as chains, rules, laws, curses. I could not tell which. My chest tightened with every page, as though the book itself knew I was already failing. I had looked too long. I had wanted too much. I closed the book with a thud. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. Seraphina stepped back, her eyes fixed on the statue. "Do you feel it?" she whispered. Yes. I felt it. The silence was no longer still. It pressed harder, circling me like breath on my neck. My skin prickled. The air vibrated faintly, like wings beating somewhere just beyond hearing. Dorian exhaled slowly, as if bracing himself. The rules are not warnings, they are chains. Break one, and the angel stirs. My torch sputtered again. For a heartbeat, the entire chamber dimmed, and in that half-dark, I swore I saw it. The sword in Michael's hand gleamed, only for a second, a flicker of light that did not belong to my torch. I blinked, but the image burned into me. The marble sword had glowed, pale and alive. The silence thickened. I thought I heard it then, faint, distant, a whisper like breath dragging through the chamber, not a word, just sound, the edge of a voice, waiting to speak. I looked at Seraphina. Her lips moved in silent prayer. My stomach dropped. The first rule: no prayers. "Stop!" I hissed. My voice cracked in the silence. She froze, eyes wide. She had broken it. The chamber groaned. Stone shifted. Dust rained from the ceiling. My torch snapped high, fire bursting like it had been struck by unseen wind, and from the hollow sockets of Michael, light bled. Not gold this time, not pale, a deep violent red spilling across the marble face. I staggered back, the codex still in my hands. My heart pounded. I wanted to run, but my legs refused. The silence was gone. In its place came a sound that froze me where I stood. The slow, heavy beat of wings. The wings beat once. The sound shook the chamber. Dust burst from the ceiling like ash in a storm. Serafina collapsed to her knees, clutching her veil. Her lips still moved, but no words came now. Only breath, only fear. I gripped the codex tighter. The leather burned in my hands. The pages fluttered as if caught by wind, though no wind moved here. The words bled open on their own, letters glowing faint red. Rule broken. The silence is wounded. My throat closed. I could not breathe. I could not blink. Michael's sword blazed, not pale light this time. Fire, white at the center, bleeding into red at the edges. The chamber glared with it, shadows driven back. The serpent beneath him writhed, scales cracking, tail snapping against the altar. Stone moved like flesh. Serafina screamed. The sound was swallowed instantly, devoured by the firelight. Dorian stepped forward. His eyes shone with fevered awe. "Do you see? This is not a statue. It was never a statue. It is a prison. The rules are the bars. One breaks and the cage trembles." His voice shook, yet he did not move away. He moved closer. "Stay back," I roared. My voice sounded thin in the roar of fire. The codex snapped shut in my hands, as if the book itself refused to show more. My palms smoked from its heat. The hollow sockets of Michael burned now with violent red, not eyes, flames, alive, a gaze I could not hold. My knees buckled, my head pounded, like something inside tried to force its way out. The wings beat again, stone cracked, the columns trembled, murals split, angels bleeding dust from the walls, dragons painted in fading pigment seemed to twist free of their crumbling lines. I dragged Serafina back from the altar. Her body was rigid, her breath shallow. She did not resist. Her eyes stayed fixed on the figure above us, wide, unblinking. Dorian did not move. He stared upward, his lips parting in reverence. "The voice," he whispered. "Do you hear it?" I did. It was not sound. It was weight. It pressed against my skull, burrowed behind my eyes. A question formed, silent yet clear. Who stands before me? The words were not heard. They were felt, each letter carved into my bones. Lucius, I thought, my name, my only shield. The fire flared. The serpent shrieked. A sound like steel dragged across stone. The marble tail lashed, shattering a pillar. Chunks of rock exploded across the floor. Serafina gasped, her first breath of life since the silence broke. "Close the book," she cried. "It is closed," I shouted. "No, not the book in your hands, the book on the altar." My eyes snapped back. There were two. The codex burned in my grip, but another volume now lay open on the altar, pages turning without touch, spilling words that glowed red across the chamber walls. Each line stretched, warped, twisting into the air like smoke. A second book, a mirror, a false scripture. Dorian staggered toward it. His hand reached out. "Do not touch it!" I roared. He did not stop. His fingers brushed the page. The chamber screamed. The fire surged from the sword, swallowing the murals, peeling stone like flesh. The serpent snapped free, half marble, half living coil, thrashing in rage. Its eyes burned white, its body writhing around the altar. Dorian fell to his knees, his hand fused to the page, skin blistering as the words branded him. His scream cut short, his mouth frozen wide. Smoke poured from his lips. Serafina clawed at my arm. "We must leave." But the door was gone. The arch where I entered had sealed with black stone, smooth and solid, no crack, no escape. The question pressed harder in my skull. Who stands before me? I bit down, blood in my mouth. My thoughts were not my own anymore. They bent, twisted, pulled toward a single word. Michael. No. Not aloud, not in my mind. That was the second rule. Do not call the name after midnight. But the chamber itself wanted me to speak it. The fire wanted it. The serpent wanted it. My own voice wanted it. Serafina clung to me, her nails drawing blood in my arm. Her eyes were wild. If you say it, we are already dead. The wings beat again. The chamber split open with sound. My ears bled. My knees slammed against stone. Dorian collapsed, his chest hollow, smoke spilling from the cavity where his heart had been. His eyes still burned, locked on the false book. The altar cracked in two. From the split rose a blinding light, not red, not gold, something between. A light that burned and froze at once. A light that was not light at all, but judgment. My vision blurred. My skull rang. My lips trembled with a word I dared not speak. The silence was gone forever. The light poured from the altar, ripping shadows from the walls. My torch died, useless against the blaze. Heat seared my skin, yet the stone under my knees felt frozen, as if two worlds bled into one. Serafina clutched me, whispering broken pleas. But the chamber no longer heard her. Words were swallowed whole. The fire shifted. It formed a shape. Wings, vast and skeletal, rising from the altar, stretching until they scraped the ceiling. Each feather burned at the edges, crumbling into ash before reforming in endless cycles of birth and ruin. And then the voice came, low at first, calm yet merciless, carving into my bones. Who is like God? The sound did not pass through ears. It cracked into bone, etched across blood. My teeth ground until I thought they would shatter. I tried to hold my name, Lucius. I am Lucius. But the words slipped like sand. The voice pressed harder, repeating, each time louder, heavier, more absolute. Who is like God? Who is like God? Serafina's body shook against me. Blood ran from her nose down her veil. She mouthed something, but no sound came. Her eyes rolled white. Dorian's corpse twitched on the floor. Smoke still poured from the hollow in his chest, but even his lips moved now, shaping silent syllables. The same question. Who's like God? It tore through the chamber again, this time thunderous, like a verdict crashing down. The false book on the altar burst into flames, its pages turning to cinders that floated but never fell. The true codex in my hands writhed like a living thing. Trying to tear free of my grip, I dropped to the floor, clutching my skull. My vision swam. The murals on the walls bent and broke. Angels, once painted with radiant swords, now dripped black tears. Dragons tore loose from the stone, writhing along the ceiling, their bodies both paint and flesh. The chamber was unraveling. The voice pressed harder, demanding an answer. Not sound, not thought, only a word. My throat tightened. Serafina clawed at my arm, blood on her nails. Her lips formed one desperate command. Do not answer. The fire surged. The sword of Michael glowed white. The serpent beneath his feet snapped the last of its chains, its body slamming against the altar, carving cracks across the stone. And then the voice roared. Thunder and judgment rolled into one. Who is like God? The blast flung me across the chamber. My body hit stone, ribs cracking. Pain stole my breath. Blood filled my mouth. Still the question thundered, shaking marrow, tearing thought. My vision blurred. I saw Gregor. He was not there. He could not be. Yet I saw him, the old keeper, hunched and broken, his skin gray, his eyes hollow. He crouched in the corner, clutching his own journal. Pages drenched in blood. His mouth moved, his voice rasped. You cannot win. You can only kneel. That is the truth. I broke the law and I kneeled. I lived, but I was no longer mine. His head twisted, bones snapping with the motion, his mouth stretched into a grin too wide for his face. "Kneel, Lucius. Kneel, or you will burn." He vanished with the next pulse of light. The serpent's body coiled around the statue, stone splitting like flesh, revealing muscle of fire beneath. The wings of Michael stretched higher, scraping stone to dust. Seraphina screamed, her voice finally breaking through the roar. "Do not speak the name! Do not give it breath!" But the word was already on my tongue. My jaw shook with it, my throat clenched. My body was no longer mine. Michael. The syllables itched in my chest, begging release. I slammed my teeth together, biting until blood ran from my lips. The pain bought me a second of silence, 1 second. The voice pressed harder, softer this time, like a whisper directly behind my ear, cold and intimate. "Say it, speak it, claim it. Who is like God?" My head slammed against the stone, forced down. My arms buckled, my knees scraped the floor. I was kneeling, not by choice but by force. The codex writhed in my hand again. Pages tore themselves open. Lines burned into the air. When the sword shines, close your eyes. The light burst. I squeezed them shut. White fire poured through the chamber. Even with eyes closed, it burned inside me, seared against bone. I tasted iron and ash. I felt feathers brush across my skin, each touch scalding. The wings beat and the ground split. A new whisper crept through the roar, colder than the fire, softer than breath, settling into my skull. "If you look, you are mine." I pressed my eyes shut tighter. Tears boiled on my cheeks. My body trembled, crushed beneath heat and weight. Seraphina's voice cracked beside me. "Do not open them." The fire screamed, the sword blazed, the chamber collapsed into thunder, and still behind all of it, the voice asked again, now calm, eternal, a verdict with no escape. "Who is like God?" The fire did not fade. It grew. It roared like a furnace, consuming shadow and stone. My eyes stayed shut, but the light still bled through, burning across my skull. The codex thrashed in my grip, pages tearing themselves free, circling me like black birds with wings of ash. Each feather of parchment screamed as it burned. Seraphina clung to me. Her nails dug into my arm. Her breath was ragged, torn from her lungs. "It is moving," she gasped. "God help us, it is moving." The ground split beneath us. Stone heaved. Dust filled the air. The chamber shuddered like the beating of a giant heart. I forced one eye open. I should not have. The statue was no longer stone. Marble cracked and fell away like a shell. Beneath it, flesh of fire, muscles shaped from molten rock, wings that stretched wide, each feather dripping ash, regrowing only to burn again. Michael rose, not slow, not clumsy. He rose as if he had never been bound. One step shattered the altar. Another crushed the serpent's body, which writhed and screamed, torn between stone and flesh, chained and free. His sword blazed with white fire. The light tore through the chamber, cutting murals to dust, splitting pillars. The roof shook. Seraphina screamed, her body convulsed, as if the sight alone seared her soul. She covered her face, but it was too late. Blood ran from her eyes. I could not move. My body was locked. My will was nothing. Michael's hollow sockets turned toward me. Fire burned within, not eyes, judgment, endless, eternal. The voice followed. Not thunder this time, not question. It was closer, clearer. "You looked." I dropped to my knees. My chest heaved. My heart felt split in two. The codex tore from my hands, flying into the fire. Pages shrieked as they dissolved. Rules turned to ash. Chains broken. Michael's wings spread wide. The wind of them struck me like a storm. My torch blew out. Darkness should have come. But the fire from his sword filled every shadow. Seraphina's voice cracked through the roar. "Do not speak his name." But the pressure grew again. My tongue twisted. My throat strained. The word pressed to be born. "Michael." I bit down hard, blood filling my mouth. My teeth cracked. Still the word clawed inside. The serpent lashed once more. Its body whipped across the chamber, striking the floor where I knelt. The ground split. I fell through dust and stone, my body slamming against the lower level of the crypt. Pain tore through me. My breath shattered. Bones screamed. I looked up. Michael towered above, wings scraping the ceiling, sword raised high. Fire bled from his wounds, spilling like rivers down his chest. His mouth opened, not stone lips, flesh, fire. The words poured like thunder. Who is like God? The chamber bent under the sound. Pillars bowed. The serpent wailed. Serafina writhed on the floor, her hands clawing her own face. I tried to crawl, but the heat pinned me. My skin blistered. My blood boiled. From the shadows, a shape moved. Gregor. Bent, broken, eyes hollow, journal still clutched tight. He staggered toward Michael, arms raised in mock worship. His voice was no longer human. It was cracked, jagged, filled with the same fire. He is the sword. He is the shield. He is the flame that ends all flesh. Michael's gaze fell on him. In an instant, Gregor's body burst into cinders. No scream, no bone, only ash raining down. And then the gaze turned back to me. The fire filled my vision. My skin peeled. My name slipped from me like dust. Lucius, Lucius. I tried to hold it, but the fire wanted another name. Michael. The sword lifted higher. The serpent coiled tighter, its body snapping bone against stone. The chamber shook with its death throes. I thought I heard Serafina again. Distant, drowned. Close your eyes, close them. But I could not. The fire demanded sight. The angel moved. His sword fell like a star. The air screamed as fire split the chamber. Stone did not break. It melted, pouring down in streams of black and red. The serpent shrieked. No longer stone, no longer bound. Its body burst free in coils of living fire, scales of molten iron clashing against walls. Each strike split pillars, collapsing arches in showers of sparks. I staggered back, shielding my face. Heat seared my lungs. My skin cracked, blistered. The smell of burning flesh filled the air, and I realized it was my own. Serafina crawled beside me, half blind, blood streaking her veil. "There is no door," she gasped. "No way out." She was right. Where the stair had been, now only smooth black stone sealed us inside. No crack, no path. The serpent lunged. Its head struck inches from me, jaws wide, dripping molten fire that hissed across the floor. I rolled, my hands tearing open on broken rock. The heat chased me, clinging, burning, as if it wanted to drag me into its belly. Michael raised his wings. One beat and the entire crypt roared like a furnace. The serpent twisted in pain, its own body burning against the light. But the angel did not strike it down. He let it rage. He let it free. Because it was not the serpent he wanted. It was us. The voice thundered again. Not a question this time. A command. Kneel. My knees buckled without thought. My spine arched. My head bowed. My body betrayed me. Serafina fought it, nails carving her palms bloody as she clung to the ground. "Do not kneel," she screamed. "If we kneel, we are his." The fire pressed harder. My bones bent under it. My breath locked. I forced myself up, my body trembling like glass about to shatter. "No," I hissed, though my voice cracked like stone. "No." The codex was gone, burned to ash. But the rules burned still inside my skull. I clung to them like chains. Do not pray, do not call his name. Fall if you hear wings. Close your eyes when the sword shines. Never touch the feather. Chains, weak chains, but all I had. The serpent struck again, its body tearing the chamber apart. The murals collapsed, saints and angels falling in pieces. Dust blinded me. Stone cut my flesh. I stumbled, coughing blood. Through the haze, I saw Dorian. No breath left in him, no heart, yet he moved. His burned body staggered toward Michael. The false book fused to his arm, molten pages spilling from it like veins. His mouth hung open, no voice, only smoke. But his lips formed one word again and again: Michael, Michael, Michael. The serpent coiled around him. Instead of crushing, it lifted him high, presenting him like an offering. Michael's sword lowered. Fire kissed what was left of Dorian, and in an instant he was gone, swallowed into the blaze, nothing left but sparks. I screamed, not for him, for myself, because I knew that was what awaited me. Michael turned his gaze to me. The hollow fire inside his face seared through my chest. My vision split. I saw not one chamber but 1,000 walls of stone, 1,000 statues breaking open, 1,000 serpents freed. Each mirror of this place, each one burning, each one waiting. The voice pressed again. Not outside, inside. Kneel and you will live. I clenched my jaw until my teeth broke. Blood spilled from my gums. My knees shook, but I forced them locked. I would not kneel. Seraphina's scream split the fire. I turned. She was no longer crawling. She was standing, her veil gone, her eyes burned blind, her arms spread wide. "You will not take him," she cried. Her voice tore with blood. Michael's sword flared. The serpent lunged. The ground shattered. And then feathers fell, not white, not gold, black. Each one burning at the edges, ash raining as they touched the ground. One landed before me, still glowing, still alive. The fifth rule seared in my skull: never touch the feather. But the fire bent toward it. My hand rose against my will. My fingers ached to close around the quill of flame. I fought it. I screamed, but the silence swallowed the sound. Michael stepped closer. His shadow consumed me. His wings blocked the world, and the command came again: kneel. The feather burned before me. My hand shook inches away. Heat blistered my skin, though I had not touched it. Every breath screamed for me to close my fingers around it. Every bone begged to obey. Seraphina clawed at my arm. "Do not touch it!" Her blind eyes stared through the fire, blood dripping down her cheeks. "It is the last chain. Break it, and nothing holds him." Michael's wings beat once. The air slammed into me, throwing me back. The feather skittered across the floor, still burning, still whole. I tried to crawl, but the chamber split again. Stone crashed down, fire seared through cracks, the serpent writhed free, filling the space with coils that pulsed like living iron. Its roar shook the marrow in my bones. Then I heard it, a voice above the roar. Calm, old, human. "Stop." Ambrose stood in the collapsed arch where no door should exist. His black robes were torn. His face ash-stained, but his eyes burned with cold light. He walked into the chamber without fear, without hesitation. Michael did not strike him. The serpent's head swayed above, jaws dripping molten fire, but it did not lunge. Ambrose's voice cut through the storm. "You still do not see, Lucius. You thought you were a guardian of light. You thought the angel was a savior, but Michael was never here to save." His words echoed, each one heavy as stone. He is war. He is fire. He is the sword that ends cities, the flame that toppled kingdoms. Babylon burned by his breath. Ashes cover the earth where he has walked. We do not guard him for worship. We guard the world from him. My throat locked. "Why did you bring me here?" Ambrose's gaze fell to me. No pity, only certainty, because someone must stand in the chamber when the chains break. Someone must face him. Someone must be chosen. The wings thundered again. The chamber bent, walls bowing outward. Fire spilled like rivers. Seraphina screamed, "He is free already. You cannot bind him again." Ambrose turned on her, his voice sharp. "Chains are not made of iron. They are made of faith, of silence, of fear. Break one, and the others weaken. Break them all, and the angel rises. That is why we give the book. That is why we give the rules. To delay, to hold, never to conquer." I shook my head, my chest heaved. "You used me. You knew I would fail." Yes. Ambrose's tone did not falter. All men fail. That is the design. That is the test. You are not here to win. You are here to break, and in breaking, you feed the chain again. The feather pulsed on the ground, still glowing. My hand trembled toward it. Ambrose's eyes followed me. Touch it, and the angel walks the earth again. Resist, and you remain his prisoner. Either way, the world is not yours any longer. The serpent struck the walls, cracks spidering higher, the ceiling collapsing stone by stone. Fire poured down in sheets. Michael raised his sword. Light bled across the chamber, searing every shadow to nothing, his hollow gaze fixed on me. Who is like God? The question split my skull. I tasted blood, my vision blurred white. Ambrose did not flinch. He stood beneath the fire as if it could not touch him. Answer, and you are lost, he said. Kneel, and you are his forever. But if you stand, if you refuse, you may yet hold the chain a little longer. Seraphina's broken voice cried beside me. Lucius, do not listen to him. He does not want to bind Michael. He wants to serve him. Ambrose's head snapped toward her, rage flashing in his eyes. Silence! For the first time, his composure cracked. His hand trembled at his side. His voice rose, filled with hunger. Do you not see? This is not destruction. This is glory. To stand in the fire of Michael is to be remade. Michael's wings filled the chamber. The serpent coiled tighter, squeezing stone to dust. The feather burned brighter, as if waiting for my hand. Ambrose stepped forward, his face alight with fanatic fire. Take it, Lucius. Take the feather. Become his soldier. Be the one who carries the flame into the world. The command pressed in my skull again. Kneel. My knees shook. My hand reached. The feather glowed brighter. Seraphina's voice cracked, a single broken cry. If you touch it, you are no longer Lucius. The ground split beneath me. The fire roared, and Michael moved. The chamber shook as Michael lifted his sword higher. Fire poured from the blade, rivers of light flooding every crack. The serpent hissed and thrashed, its coils tearing stone from the earth. The ceiling buckled. Seraphina clung to me, half blind, her voice raw. We cannot hold him. It is over. Ambrose raised his arms, robes burning, eyes wild. No, it begins. His face was lit with fever. The fire will cleanse. The world will kneel. Then another voice cut through the roar. Young, sharp, hungry. Not kneel, rule. From the broken stair, Alaric emerged. His cassock hung in tatters, his hands charred black. Veins glowing faint red like molten iron. His eyes burned with a fanatic light that matched the fire in the chamber. I felt dread knot in my chest. He was not afraid. He was waiting. Ambrose turned on him. You should not be here. Alaric laughed. The sound was hollow, stretched too wide for a human throat. You chained him for centuries, Ambrose. You whispered prayers to silence. You fed him scraps of fear. But I am not afraid. I'm ready. The feather still burned on the ground between us. Michael's gaze pressed down, hollow sockets aflame, waiting. Alaric moved first. He reached for it. I staggered forward, but the fire slammed me back. My body hit stone, ribs cracking. I coughed blood, gasping, helpless as his fingers closed around the quill of flame. The chamber screamed. The rules shattered in my skull, breaking one by one like glass. Do not pray. Do not call his name. Fall if you hear wings. Close your eyes. Never touch the feather. Gone, burned, nothing left. Alaric lifted the feather high. Fire poured from it into his arm, his chest, his mouth. His body convulsed, skin splitting, bones glowing like white coal. His scream was not pain. It was triumph. I am chosen! His voice cracked into the roar. I am the hand of Michael. I am his fire. Michael's sword dropped, not on him, around him. Fire wrapped his body like chains of light. His screams turned to laughter, his laughter to howls. He was consumed, but he did not die. He burned and lived, his body becoming part of the flame. The serpent reared, its head snapping toward him. Instead of striking, it bowed, its coils wrapped around him, shielding him, presenting him as if he were no longer prey but kin. Ambrose fell to his knees, tears of fire in his eyes. "It is true," he whispered. "The angel chooses, the angel makes soldiers." Serafina clutched my arm, her blind gaze desperate. "Lucius, he is not chosen. He's broken. He's becoming something else." The ground split wider, lava bled from the cracks. The chamber groaned like a dying beast. Alaric's voice rose, no longer human. "The chains are ash, the silence is dead. The angel is free." And Michael moved, no longer bound to stone, no longer half flesh, half marble. His wings unfurled to their full span, scraping the ceiling to dust. His sword blazed so bright it cut through my eyelids. His face bent lower, fire pouring from the sockets that once were eyes. He looked not at Ambrose, not at Serafina, only at me. The voice followed, but it was not the same question. It was not, "Who is like God?" It was a command, "Rise." My body obeyed before thought. Pain ripped through my bones, but I stood. My blood boiled, my skin blistered, yet I stood. My breath tore from my throat in ragged gasps, but I could not kneel. I could not crawl. I could only rise. Alaric's laughter shook the chamber. His body was fire, his veins rivers of light. "He calls you too, Lucius. You are his soldier as I am. Together we will carry his flame across the earth. Together we will end the silence." I shook my head. My lips bled from the word I would not speak. "No." But Michael's shadow stretched over me, wings blotting every remnant of the chamber. The serpent coiled tighter, stone walls snapping like branches. Ambrose cried out in ecstasy, his arms wide to the fire. Serafina wept, blood and tears mixed, clutching my arm like she could hold me to the ground. The command pressed deeper, burning through my chest. "Rise, rise, rise." The feather in Alaric's hand exploded, scattering 1,000 black flames across the air. Each spark became a wing, each wing burned and fell as ash. The crypt drowned in them. Alaric's voice tore with madness. "The fire is ours!" Michael's sword lifted high again. The chamber split open. The ceiling burst. For the first time, I saw the night sky above. Stars drowned beneath the blaze. There was no roof, no barrier, no silence left. Michael was free. The ceiling was gone. The night sky burned above, black drowned by fire. Stars vanished one by one, consumed by the light of Michael's sword. He rose higher, no longer bound to the chamber. His wings unfolded into the sky, stretching past sight, every beat a storm. The serpent wrapped around him, a crown of living flame, its hiss splitting the air like thunder. The ground heaved beneath me. Stone shattered, walls collapsed, the crypt became a wound in the earth. Lava poured through the cracks, spilling upward like blood forced from a torn vein. Ambrose fell to his knees, arms lifted, tears of fire streaking his face. "Glory," he whispered, "glory to the flame." Alaric stood beside him, half man, half inferno. His veins glowed like molten rivers. His skin cracked and burning, yet his smile was triumphant. He raised his arms, mirroring Michael. "We are his soldiers. We are his fire." Serafina clung to me, blind eyes wide, her voice raw. "Lucius, you must choose." Michael's gaze fell on me. Fire poured from his hollow sockets, searing into my chest, burning through bone and thought. And then the voice came, low and merciless, tearing straight into my skull. "Submit!" My knees buckled. My body bent forward. My arms trembled. Blood poured from my mouth as I clenched my teeth against the word that pressed inside me. Michael. It clawed at my throat. It wanted breath. Seraphina screamed, clutching my arm with bleeding hands. "Do not say it! If you speak, you are gone!" But the voice pressed harder, a hiss that coiled around my spine, both command and promise. "Submit, and you will rise eternal." The serpent's coils lashed, crushing the ground. The world cracked open. Cities fell in my vision. Babylon, Carthage, Rome, each drowned in fire. I saw armies burning, skies torn in two, oceans boiling, all at once, all through his gaze. I tried to breathe, but the fire filled my lungs. I saw my reflection in the sword, skin peeling, eyes burned gold, no longer myself. Ambrose's cry rose. "Do it, Lucius! Speak the name! Become what you were meant to be!" Alaric's laughter split the sky. Flames poured from his mouth as he shouted, each word a hammer blow that fed the blaze. "Michael! Michael! Michael!" The serpent writhed tighter around the angel, stars falling in showers of fire. Michael's shadow stretched across the heavens, and again the command slammed into me. A voice like molten iron poured into bone. "Submit!" My bones cracked, my spine bent, my lips moved without will. The words scraped against my teeth. "Michael." Seraphina's voice broke through, faint but clear, like a thread in the storm. "If you kneel, there's nothing left. If you resist, you may still be you." I dug my nails into my palms, tearing flesh, forcing pain through the fire. My knees shook, ready to shatter, but I pushed up, stood against the weight. Blood poured from my nose, my ears, my eyes. Still I stood, the angel's fire bent lower. The serpent hissed, the sword tilted, and then the voice roared, thunderous, absolute, crushing me under its weight. "Kneel." "Yes," I whispered, though my throat tore with it. My voice was mine. "Burn me." The ground screamed, fire exploded around me. The serpent lashed, striking stone to dust. Ambrose howled, consumed in flame. Alaric shrieked with laughter as the fire devoured what remained of his flesh. Michael's wings closed around me, walls of fire, a prison of light. His sword fell, white as the heart of a star. I closed my eyes. The blade struck, but it did not end. There was no death, only silence, heavy, endless. I opened my eyes. The chamber was gone. The sky was gone. Ambrose, Alaric, Seraphina, gone. I stood alone in ash and fire. Michael towered above, wings stretching into the void, sword still raised. His gaze locked to mine, and then the question came again, not shouted, but whispered in quiet judgment, soft enough to chill the marrow. "Who is like God?" I had no answer. The silence returned, not peace, not rest, a silence heavy as stone pressing into my lungs, buried in thought. Ash drifted in the air, no walls, no sky, only a pale horizon that never arrived. Michael stood above me, wings vast, burning at the edges, healing as they burned. Sword low, still white, as if it had not cut and yet already had. His gaze fixed. Fire lived where eyes should be. I knelt without meaning to, my breath shallow, my hands trembling. The voice came, soft, close, a breath sliding across my ribs. "Walk." My legs moved. Each step cut pain through bone. I tried to resist. I could not. Another breath, deeper, sinking behind my heart. "Carry." The world bent open. Through cracks in the void I saw streets, Rome, wet stone, a bell counting the hour, ordinary life, untouched. The seam widened. I fell through. Cold air struck my face. I was in a side chapel, the marble floor slick beneath my palms. A candle flickered near the altar, steadying like a lung, remembering how to breathe. No statue cracked, only a painting. Michael in blue and gold, calm, sword pointed down. "Do not look," I told myself. I looked anyway. My reflection shimmered in the glass. My eyes stared back, dull brown. Then, for a heartbeat, pale threads of light crossed the irises like veins of stone. They vanished when I blinked. I staggered into the nave. A cleaner pushed a mop humming. He did not look at me, did not see me. The silence pressed. My chest ached. I wanted to speak a name. I bit down until blood filled my mouth. I walked out into morning. The city breathed around me. Vendors rolled carts. A boy chased a pigeon. The sky was ordinary. I was not. At the fountain, I cupped water. It ran down my wrist. For a heartbeat, it hissed, steaming. My skin did not burn. The heat was memory, not flame. No proof, I thought, nothing anyone could hold. But something remained, heavy inside me, waiting. A siren wailed, birds lifted. Beneath it faint, I heard wings. Not stone against stone, wings against air. I turned down a street with no name. Shadows stretched wrong, lamps still cold, but every passerby carried a faint glow at the throat, like fire no one else could see. A church stood ahead. Old stone, old wood, bell too tired to be beautiful. I stopped. The breath in my ribs whispered, patient. Walk. I went in, morning mass, only a handful of voices. The sound rose, soft and steady. Do not pray, the rule said. That was for the chamber, I answered, not here. I slipped into the last pew. The wood cooled beneath my palms. The voices moved over me. They did not lift me. They pushed me down, deeper. I closed my eyes. It did not help. The sound seeped through skin. A child coughed. Pages turned. The flap of paper sounded too much like wings. I tried to remember Serafina. Do not open them. Do not answer. Her voice was gone. The priest's cadence rose. Not words, only rhythm. Certain, final. The breath leaned close to my ear from the inside. I braced for command. None came. Instead, in the pause between lines, a whisper crawled through the ash of my skull. It was quiet, certain, unavoidable. Who is like God? My eyes opened. No one turned. No one shivered. Only me. I did not answer. I left before the last word of Mass. Outside, the air was colder. The street louder. My hands steadied. The whisper did not leave. It settled lower where the pulse lives. I walked because I was told to walk. I kept my eyes on the stones. I did not look for wings. I did not look for fire. The bell began again. Once, twice. I counted without meaning to. On the 7th, I felt it press. On the 8th, I knew I would feel it again. And still, I kept walking.